going on, guys? Welcome back to the podcast, Tag Reviews, episode 164, the Core 4 Weekly News. And on today's episode, we're going to talk about the FIFA Club World Cup, plus we got NBA Finals recap, and we got live golf news to talk about. But first, let's head into the NHL. So we're talking about the NHL this week, and we got a lot of playoffs to talk about. We got Stanley Cup playoffs games 1 through 3. Plus, we got some news coming out of some rosters that are not included in the NHL playoffs right now. So we're going to talk about that. But let's start off with the Stanley Cup. Game 1 of the Stanley Cup went Edmonton's way. It went to overtime, a 4-3 victory for the Oilers. Honestly, a very good game on both sides. A little bit lopsided in the middle. Went Florida's way. They were up 3-1, but goals did start off with Leon Draisaitl's first goal of the Stanley Cup playoffs in the finals, because last year he scored actually no goals in the finals, which was absolutely a stunner. This year gets 2 goals, the first goal and the last goal, wins it in overtime for the Oilers. In game 2, it went the opposite way, another 4-3 victory, but this time in Florida's way. They won it in double overtime, 2 goals coming from Brad Marchand, scoring in the first 2 games of the series. Game 3, absolutely lopsided game. 6-1 victory for the Panthers. Marchand scoring again, becoming the oldest player to score in the first 3 games of a Stanley Cup Finals. And that was just not even the bright spot of the Panthers. They looked absolutely dominant in that whole game. Brad Marchand looking great. Sam Bennett looking great, causing a lot of mayhem, causing Jake Wallman to be fined $10,000 for roughing with Matthew Tkachuk in an incident following the bench squirting water bottle into their bench there. The only goal coming from the Oilers was Corey Perry's power play goal in that one. Honestly, it did come, I think it was a 2-1 game at that point, but honestly, too little too late. But surprisingly, Corey Perry's got 9 goals in this playoffs. He's looking great. He's looking like his younger self, and he's really putting up some great numbers for the Oilers. So game 4 is Thursday, 5 p.m. TNT. I don't know what to expect. I don't think the Oilers have enough to get back in this, but yet again, it's the Oilers. It's hard to go against them. So I'm not too sure what to expect going into this game 4, but I think it's still going to be a very good game. Thursday, 5 p.m. TNT. Now let's head into other news outside of the playoffs. Head coaching news. Pittsburgh has hired Dan Muse to be their new head coach, and Dallas has fired Pete DeBoer as their head coach. I think this all comes back to him benching Jake Ottinger in that final game of the playoffs. Very controversial move. I think a lot of people had to talk about it. I don't know if we actually ended up talking about it. That was the worst move possible. Game on the line, series on the line, season on the line, and your best goalie, potentially one of the top 5 goalies in the league, is not inside the net. Not a good move by Pete DeBoer. And we've seen in the past him not really blaming goalies, but him and goalies not going off on the right foot. So I just think this is another instance here. Pete DeBoer is a good head coach. He wins a lot. He's the best Game 7 head coach, I think, of all the core 4 sports. So I think DeBoer will find a new spot, but definitely I'm not surprised seeing him leave Dallas in this case. Colorado has extended Brock Nelson to 3 years, $7.5 million AAV. I mean, not surprised. Colorado went out and got him in the during the deadline, and I really did expect this offseason for him to sign back in Colorado. There were still rumblings about him going to Minnesota, but when Minnesota didn't get him in the deadline, I kind of thought that was kind of out of the window. So he'll stay in Colorado for 3 more years. Kind of a high AAV in my opinion, but I think Colorado's got a lot of money around. I'm not too 100% sure on that one, but keeping Brock Nelson around, I think, is definitely going to help that team. We got some trade news, not official news, but there's stuff in the works between Anaheim and the New York Rangers. Sounds like Chris Kreider will be going from the Rangers to Anaheim, along with his full contract, which is at $6.5 million AAV for 2 more years, in exchange for a draft pick and a prospect. I don't know how much Anaheim would be giving up. I don't know what round that would be. Don't know what kind of prospect it would be, but it sounds like at least 2 assets are going over to the Rangers if this trade is official. It is not official. This was in the works last night. A lot of talks, a lot of rumblings about it. So we'll see later on today, because I'm recording this on Wednesday morning. So I don't know if this is going to be official by the time it comes out, but just keep an eye out for Chris Kreider moving to Anaheim. And the last news we got, TJ Oshie announces his retirement from hockey. His back injury has unfortunately caused him to officially retire from the game. 2005 first-round draft pick by St. Louis, won the Stanley Cup in 2018 with Washington, 695 points in 1,010 games between St. Louis and Washington. And honestly, one of my favorite international memories when it comes to not just Olympics, but U.S. hockey, IIHF tournaments. His shootout against Russia in 2014 was spectacular. If you haven't seen it before, go check it out. Just look up TJ Oshie Olympic shootout and you'll find the full shootout. I think he went 6 rounds, scored 4 of those rounds, single-handedly took out Russia and won it for the U.S. I just learned that he was on that roster because of his shootout abilities and knowing the rules for the shootout, knowing that you could go multiple times once you get past the first 3 rounds of the shootout. So they knew exactly what they were doing when they brought in TJ Oshie. Everybody knew he was going to get that puck multiple times in that shootout attempt, and he made every bit of it. So congrats to you, Oshie, on a great career. I wouldn't be surprised to see him in the media world. He's already been dabbling in ESPN. I think he's been on Chicklets a couple times as well. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him in a booth somewhere, if not at least talking about the sport in the future years. All right, let's talk about the NBA. I unfortunately have not been watching a lot of finals because every time the finals are on, I'm at work. So unfortunately, have not seen too much of the games. But of what I know, this is what's happened. Game 1, Indiana sneaking away with this one, 111-110 over OKC. Tyrese Halliburton hitting a 21-foot jumper to win it with 0.3 seconds left on the clock. Honestly, it sounded like a great game back and forth. Caught the first half of the game, didn't catch, unfortunately, the best part of the game, which was the second half of this one. Unfortunately, OKC, though, wasted a great game by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. 40 minutes, 38 points in this one. 3 for 6 from 3-pointers, 14 from 30 from the field goal. I think also 8 free throws made for him. So honestly, a wasted game from SGA. But game 2, SGA did the same thing and it ended up going OKC's way. 123-107, 34 points in 36 minutes for him. 11-21 from field goal, 11 from 13 from free throw line. Alex Caruso coming off the bench for 20 points. 27 points, 6 from 11 from the field goal. Game 3 is actually on Wednesday, 5:30 on ABC, so you most likely already know what happened in that by the time you're watching this, but still wanted to put that out there just in case you guys watch this before the game happens. Wednesday, Game 3, series tied back in Indiana. All right, let's head into the world of soccer. We got a lot to discuss, so let's do it quickly. World Cup qualifying. We got a bunch of teams that qualified. 2 first-timers, Uzbekistan and Jordan, qualifying for their first ever World Cup, so congrats to those nations. South Korea, Australia, Brazil, and Ecuador also all qualified as of last night. Brazil becoming the first and only team to qualify for all World Cups, their 23rd straight World Cup. So congrats to you guys. That also joins the other nations that include Argentina, Iran, New Zealand, Japan, and the 3 host countries, Canada, Mexico, and the United States. We head to Poland where the star forward Robert Lewandowski announces his international retirement due to the current coaching of Michael Porez. I don't think they said that correctly, but anyways, the coaching staff of Poland. It sounds like if Lewandowski wants to come back and they want Lewandowski back on this team, they got to get rid of the coaching staff. I think that's an easy choice. Lewandowski is really the only player you think of when you think of Poland right now, and if they want to make this World Cup in the U.S., Mexico, Canada for 26, they got to have Lewandowski on that World Cup qualifying team. So you got to get rid of the coaching staff there. The bad thing is, if you get rid of them now, with exactly 1 year to the day on Wednesday, till the World Cup starts, that's not a lot of time for this new head coach to come in. So what will the Federation do? There's not a lot of talk about what they will do. Personally, I think you got to get rid of the head coaching and the coaching staff there. Get Lewandowski back on the squad because he is really the star of Poland. Then we head to the U.S. men's national team talk. Gold Cup starts on Sunday for the U.S., Mexico, Canada, and all those other nations that will be participating in that. But the U.S. had a couple of friendlies to warm themselves up for the Gold Cup. And if you look at that roster, I'm not going to go over the roster. It is an awful looking roster. Not a roster that a lot of people recognize the names. A couple of bigger names in there that we do know. Walker Zimmerman being one of them. The Aronson brothers, Matt Turner in net. A couple of familiar ones. But overall, a roster that not a lot of people will know. And they had 2 games against Turkey and Switzerland. The first one against Turkey, they lost that one 2-1, becoming their 3rd straight loss for the U.S. It's the first time they've lost 3 straight since 2015 under Jurgen Klinsmann, which is a name that a lot of people do not like to hear when it comes to the U.S. team. So they went out, played last night in Nashville against Switzerland and got destroyed. 4-0 loss in that one. This is the first time they've lost 4 straight games since 2007. So the U.S. are not in good form here, and it's mainly because they don't have any people playing on a consistent basis. They got no Pulisic due to rest. They got no McKinney. They got no Robinsons. They got really no goaltending either. Matt Turner is not the best option right now for this team. He doesn't play at the club level because he is not the starter at Nottingham Forest. Sounds like he'll honestly make a move this season or for this upcoming season. Sounds like he's going to Lyon for $8 million transfer fee. That still is in the works. So maybe that will help him, but yet he's still got to win that starting job over there. So it doesn't sound like it's a great positive move for Matt Turner. Could be a potential good move, but as of right now, still up in the air if he will get the starting job. The U.S., I'm tired of talking about how bad they look right now, so I'm not going to talk too much about it, but them going into the Gold Cup with this kind of roster, a roster that most likely will not be the same when it comes to the World Cup team, it's not a good look, and it really does not make me feel very confident about them having a good result in the group stage for the Gold Cup. If they make it out of that, going to the knockout stages and winning a couple of games, because Switzerland and Turkey are going to be the best teams that they're going to face between now and 1 year from today. And it doesn't give me any confidence that they're going to do anything in the World Cup group stages, let alone if it's the worst teams that they could ever pull or the best teams that they could pull. I don't think that they're going to be able to compete well, which is tough news because it's on home soil, and it's going to be a wasted opportunity if the U.S. cannot even at least get out of the group stages and move into the knockout stages. So we'll see how the U.S. do in this Gold Cup, but I'm not very excited about this Gold Cup as I wish I was. Now let's head to Europe. The 2025 Nations League for UEFA ended with Portugal beating Spain in penalties, a 2-2 in full time, then a 5-3 in penalties. Portugal's 3rd international trophy with Ronaldo at the helm. Unfortunately, Ronaldo did not finish this game, was subbed out in the later half of the second half due to injury, but regardless, Portugal looked great. Spain looked great. It was a great finals, really entertaining between the two squads. So a really entertaining game between that, and really entertaining semifinal games as well. So if you guys caught that, you guys were very lucky because those were very good international games. Especially with all the stuff going on in World Cup qualifiers. This was a very entertaining game. All right, and now last thing to talk about is the Club World Cup. I'm going to make a full episode talking more in depth about this, about the teams that are going to be involved, but I have a little bit of stuff to talk about when it comes to what it is. It's a 32-team tournament with some of the best teams in the world, all different nations represented at the club level. We got a couple MLS teams. We got Inter Miami, we got Seattle Sounders, and we got LAFC, all representing the U.S., who are the host country in this inaugural season of the Club World Cup. There's a couple teams in here that everybody loves. Real Madrid, Juventus is in there, Man City, PSG, who's coming off a Champions League team win, will be there. So there's a lot of nations and a lot of big team names in this one. My predictions for this, or what to kind of expect here. I'm not really sure what to expect from the high quality teams. Will we see a team like PSG, who's coming off a Champions League, which is pretty much the highest trophy you could win outside of league if you're in the Premier League? There's always that argument, is Premier League better than a Champions League title? Who knows? I mean, it's an argument you go back and forth. I would say Champions League is probably the highest trophy you could get in Europe for the club level. But so what kind of teams are we going to see? Are we going to see an A team out of Man City, who honestly struggled a lot this year? PSG, who won the treble, are they going to go out and try and win another trophy? Will we see an A team from them, or will we see the B team, where it's the team that, let's see what our bottom levels have. Can they be a top team player? Are they not? Can we move forward from them? What's the depth like for those guys? Are we going to see a team like Inter Milan, who honestly should have won some trophies this year, struggled on finishing that, and will they go out all out on this to win a trophy with this team? Because they have a good squad. They made the finals on a couple of trophies, ended up not winning any of them. Will they go out and try and win this trophy? I don't know what a lot of these teams are going to be looking at. What's the priority for this? It sounds like FIFA is very worried about the fan interest. They've already slashed ticket prices with the opening match of Al Ahly, which is an Egyptian club, against Inter Miami, which is obviously MLS and US based team. So what are we going to see from the fan bases in the US? Are we going to see a lot of European and other nation fans come over to the US and watch these matches? I don't really know. I don't really expect that, because I don't know what everybody is really expected. Back to my first point. Are we going to see a lot of these A team players in here? We're going to see a lot of the B team players in here, like they're using it like a summer friendlies and things like that they normally do in the US, where we don't see much minutes of the top players. So I don't really know what to expect with that. But the things I hope for, I hope that the teams like the MLS teams take advantage of this. I want to see Inter Miami, Seattle Sounders, and LAFC go off in this tournament. I want to show that the US has some good talent in their homegrown clubs. And even though if Inter Miami, let's just say, ends up winning this whole thing, yeah, they got Busquets, Suarez, Messi, Alba. They went out and bought a bunch of these older guys who mesh very well together. But regardless, they're wearing an MLS team jersey. I would love to see them do something very impressive there. So I would like to see MLS teams go out and do something there. Plus a couple of these other teams that I have no clue, never heard of before. I want to see them prove and show like, hey, we're on the map. We got the talent that we could go up against some of these squads. So I think there's a lot of storylines here. What kind of teams are we going to see? Are we going to see some big names put some big squads out there? We're going to see some little names put some big squads out there. We're going to see a run by any of these teams, or are we going to see exactly what we expect, where a team like PSG, Man City, Juventus really just kind of blow everybody out of the water, and that's going to be our final. So a lot of look at for this. That starts on Saturday between Al Ahly and Inter Miami on 5 p.m. on TBS, but I guess all the games will be on DAZN. I don't know how to look that up and sign up for that, but might as well go look that if you guys are interested in this tournament. Sunday, a couple more teams will play, including Bayern Munich and Aqualand City, which is a team in New Zealand, and PSG versus Atletico Madrid, which is actually being played at the Rose Bowl, which I considered going to, but ticket prices are a little high for teams that I do not know what to expect. So Father's Day, if you want to watch some soccer, we got some Gold Cup, we got some Club World Cup, we probably got some World Cup qualifiers as well to entertain you with that. All right, let's head to the cleanup now. We got some news out of the MLB. We'll start off with the injury news. The New York Mets' Francisco Lindor will be out for some time with a broken pinky toe. Arizona's Corbin Burns will be done for the season with that elbow injury from last week. He will officially need Tommy John surgery. The LA Angels will put Chris Taylor on the 10-day IL with a hand fracture. San Francisco's Matt Chapman will be on the 10-day IL with right hand inflammation. And Atlanta's Craig Kimbrell was DFA'd last week after one relief outing with the Braves. He has signed a new deal with the Texas Rangers. It is a minor league deal, though. The Angels have also traded for Lamont Wade Jr. for a player to be named or cash from the San Francisco Giants. Now head to the NFL. Pittsburgh has officially signed Aaron Rodgers to 1 year a contract worth up to $19.5 million. I think everybody expected him to move to Pittsburgh. There wasn't a lot of options left on the table. Now the question is Rodgers going to be a New York Jet kind of style player, or is he going to be a prime Green Green Bay Packer kind of player. I don't expect him to be anywhere good. Unfortunate for him and Pittsburgh, but I just don't expect too much more out of Aaron Rodgers. And no, we are not going to talk about that ring that he was wearing because I honestly do not care. So we'll move on. Baltimore has signed wide receiver Rashad Bateman to 3 years, $36.75 million. Pretty solid contract signing, I think, in general for the wide receiver core in Baltimore. We had to do tennis, where we don't talk about a lot, but Coco Gauff won her second major title at the 2025 French Open. She becomes the first American to win the singles title at the French Open since Serena Williams did it in 2015. So congrats to you, Coco Gauff. And that's honestly a bright side for American tennis because there's really honestly not a lot of bright side to American tennis on the men's or women's side. Hopefully Coco Gauff keeps it going with this. We had to NASCAR where Ram announced that they are back in NASCAR. They'll be entering the Truck Series in 2026. There is no drivers or teams that have been announced that will be moving to Ram. Plus, we don't know if they will be going to the Xfinity Series or the Cup Series anytime soon. They used to be all over that, or at least Dodge was back in, I think, early 2000s to mid 2000s era. They left the series, but Ram is back. So we'll see if Dodge gets themselves back into the higher up series. But as of right now, they're at least joining the Truck Series. Last weekend, we had Michigan International Speedway race. Denny Hamlin won his third of the season. This is the top 10. Hamlin getting 1, Chris Buescher at 2, Gibbs at 3, Wallace at 4, Larson at 5, Chastain at 6, Smith at 7, Busch at 8, Preece at 9, and Keselowski rounding out the top 10 in 10th. This upcoming weekend, they will be at Mexico City, which I believe is the first ever race in Mexico City, at least in a long time, I think potentially ever. So that should be entertaining. That'll be on Amazon Prime as well. Coming out of the golf world, Live Golf has a new member to the tour. Jose Ballester, ASU alumni, my personal friend that I know personally, will be joining the Fireballs. That's Sergio Garcia's team. Sounds like Jose is in a very happy spot. I mean, knowing him personally, him and Garcia have gone back a long time. Garcia's father is the hitting coach for Jose, so it seemed like it was a match made in heaven. It was going to happen sooner or later. I'm very happy for Jose. Hopefully he's happy and it turns out to be a very good move for him. Hopefully you got that big payday, buddy. So I'm excited for you. This upcoming weekend, though, in the PGA side, which is actually not PGA because it is a major, the U.S. Open will be at Oakmont. A lot of PGA guys will be there, but also Jose will be there because he qualified becoming a U.S. amateur winner from last year. He got the automatic bid there, so he will be competing in that. So hopefully Jose does very well coming off his first tournament at Virginia with Live Golf, now going to Oakmont for the U.S. Open. The 8 of the last 10 winners of the U.S. Open have all been American. So not history on his side for Jose, but regardless, I'll be rooting for you, Jose. Should be a very fun tournament to watch, though, this upcoming weekend. All right, games of the weekend. We'll start off with MLB. Giants versus Dodgers, a classic mashup here. Two teams that are actually doing very well. 3-game set between those two. NBA, we got game 4 on Friday. I know that's not the weekend, but there were no games on Saturday and Sunday, so Friday will be the closest to the weekend, 5:30 p.m. on ABC. NHL Game 5, that's Saturday at 5 p.m. on TNT. MLS, we got Minnesota versus San Diego, Saturday at 5:30 p.m. For the Club World Cup, the best game this weekend is on Sunday at 12 p.m. TNT, PSG versus Atletico Madrid. Formula 1, where we got the Pirelli Canadian Grand Prix. That's Sunday at 11 a.m. on ABC. And NASCAR is at Mexico City, like we said, Sunday at 12 p.m. Amazon Prime Video. All right, guys, that would do it for this episode. Thank you guys for listening. 164 episodes in the books. If you guys want a more in-depth episode about the Club World Cup, I'm going to make a full-on video about that, so keep an eye out for that. So make sure you guys hit that like, subscribe, that bell icon so you get notified when that episode drops, plus other episodes that'll be coming out in the future weeks. We appreciate you guys so much. Enjoy your Father's Day weekend with your dads, and have an awesome rest of your week. We'll see you guys later.